Okay, today on the workbench we've got this Fred Flintstone mobile, and it was sent by Ozzies Toys. I'll put a link to his YouTube video on this toy so you can see what the box looks like and all the information about it. And from what I could tell from when I was watching his video before the toy even arrived, because he was saying, well, maybe there's bad gears or something like that, and I'm going, no, there's no gears involved. This black thing is the motor. This piece of rubber shoved on the motor shaft simply friction drives this wheel. But I could tell the tabs had been bent before, maybe numerous times, so I certainly didn't want to bend any tabs that I didn't have to, because they might drop off. So we started at the battery box area because it wasn't working. It is now. And let me lift this out. This piece of cardboard here. Just take that out. So you can see where the two wires that come from the motor and the toy come. So I started by jumping some voltage, 1.5 volts, across those two terminals, and the motor was running. So I went, okay, I don't need to do anything in the car, and I don't need to replace this old wire. The wire is good, so it means the problem is going to be here in the battery box. So next I started by scraping with some 400 grit emery cloth the contacts to make sure that they were working. That still didn't get it going. So then I looked at it further and I went, okay, I can see where someone's been in here before, so let's lift this off. And this little piece just came off, and there was signs of glue from the factory, but I'm not sure what kind of glue that would be for this kind of plastic. At any rate, I can see where connections coming up from the battery box. That rivet is holding this one in, it comes up, and they had a grommet that was supposed to connect this piece to this piece. And as you can see, everything's all corroded. So I figured, okay, that's probably not conducting very well. And then a similar thing here on the front. This front one here came up and actually goes underneath and connects to there. So when this lever, which has two sides to it, is both these get pushed down at the same time, that's going to connect one motor wire to the back and the other motor wire to the front battery connection. It's going to run in one direction. Or if you rock them both the other way, it's going to connect this motor wire to the back and this motor wire to the front, and the motor is going to run the other direction. So I started by making a solder connection, cleaning this metal from here through this wire to that battery contact, figuring that things are corroded underneath that grommet that they have there, and did the same thing on this side, and that got things going. It'd be pretty tough to get up underneath there and try to do any cleaning on the other corroded side, so I didn't bother with that just because it'd be almost impossible. So you see this rocker arm piece sits on there like that, and when you rock it one way or the other, then you'll make both connections here or both connections there. This piece, like I say, someone's had it off before. I'm just going to put it back on exactly the same way as a friction fit. If Ozzy wants to glue it down or something, I'll leave that up to him. But then the next thing I looked at is the battery thing itself. And I can see that it has a wider cutout on this end and a narrow one on this end. So that meant this piece had been this way. The weird thing about that is when you put the battery in that way, normally when you hold one of these remotes, you would hold it like this with the wires coming out the front. If I push the front, that should be forward. Well, that's reverse. If I push this, this should be reverse, and that's forward. So I can't really, you can put the battery in the other way around and make it work the way it should, but you can't really flip the cardboard around. It was made that way. So I don't know if someone had been in here in the past trying to get it going and desolder the wires here, or since I know someone's been in the toy because the tabs have been bent, they may have desoldered them off the motor and put them back on. But let's give it a test here. Let's move. Come on, motor. There we go. You only got 1.5 volts to begin with, you know, and I'm trying not to run it off on there. These contacts are, you got to push pretty hard to get a good connection going there. Here, maybe if I just hold it. Here's the friction drive side, so you can actually see that. The motor is mounted on a frame that has a spring, and the spring literally pulls the motor towards the wheel to get a connection going there. And they kind of had to do that because the wheel isn't completely round. The motor's got to be able to give. So it works. Problem was in the remote. Thank goodness that it wasn't in the toy or the motor or in the wiring, because I'd much rather work on just the remote than bend those tabs and chance breaking something off in there. But I'll let Ozzy do his final review of the toy on his channel.